Hello, everyone. Welcome to Tea and Chocolate. My name is Lauren Spagnolo. And for the purposes of today, I'm going to be honoring the life of Mary Magdalene with a very special guest. And I'm located in Canada, and Veronique Flayol is in St Maximin, France. So, Veronique, thank you so much for being here with me today. Veronique is a lecture guide, and she's licensed by the French Ministry of Culture. And as I said, we are going to be speaking about Mary Magdalene and everything about actually the life of Veronique and how she was introduced to that. So, Veronique, thank you so much for joining me today. It's an absolute honor.
No, it's a pleasure for me. Thank you for inviting me. I'm very pleased to be with you and with your followers for this little introduction to the life of Mary Magdalene here in Provence, yes, where I live.
Yes, and I'm so glad I found you.
Thank you.
Yeah, and as I was looking through your website, I thought, wow, she has such a plethora of information and offerings for incredible retreats. So, yeah, they're very inspiring, actually.
Thank you.
So, if you could introduce yourself in terms of how this was very much early on in your life path.
Oh yes, my link with and my relationship with Mary Magdalene is very, very old. I'm 57 years now, and I know her since I was a little girl, probably 2 or 3 years old. I can't remember because she has always been part of my life. And when I was a little girl, I live and I was grown here in the place where she's buried in St Maximin, where we have the basilica, and in the basilica we have the crypt where Magdalene is buried, where we have the relics. And when I was a little girl already, my father, who was in charge also with friends also to look after the relics and to organize a festival in July for Mary Magdalene. And when I was a little girl, I was with going with my father. So Magdalene for me was not was really a friend. And I remember that when we went we were going to the crypt and we were doing something special for Mary Magdalene. We call her Mado, so that's a nickname. And for me, Magdalene is Mado mostly. And it was my first meeting when I was really a very, very little girl. And then that's only after, when I was older, that I really understood what kind of woman she was and what she represented for thousands of people, and how she was this example of life for so many of us. But it was later. But at the very beginning, she was really a friend, and it's thanks to my father that I really have this deep connection with her. Yes.
So there was really no question. There was no doubt or hesitation in the way that you embraced her, it sounds like. It sounds like
Yes.
you were very confident about this path.
Oh yes, I'm totally, yes. I trust. Yes, this is my purpose of life. She's part of my life. Yes. In the morning, I live just in front of the from my terrace. I can see the cave where she spent the last 30 years of her life. And every morning when I open my window, I say hello, Mado, and and I begin my day with her. Yes.
Wow. And so when you know was as you began honoring her life, do you have siblings? I'm curious about that.
Do I have? Sorry.
Siblings, brothers and sisters?
Oh no, no, I'm alone. Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And did your mother also contribute to the path also?
My mother, she was totally okay with that, but really the one who passed on me this passion was my father. Yes.
Your father.
Yeah. He
Okay.
was very, very close to her in a different way, of course, but yeah, he was very devoted to Mary Magdalene. Yes.
Mhm.
She was part of his life also. Yes.
Right, right, right. How do you know that she existed? You know, the story of, if you could just kind of go into the story. I know that she came to France.
Yeah, I know that. Yeah, there are some people who don't agree with the fact that she finished her life here in Provence, but because of course we don't have of course the proof 100% that the skull we have here in Saint Maximin and we keep in the crypt is really the one of Mary Magdalene, but we have plenty of information that are going on that side. And for me, for my friend who are in the association, we founded 42 years ago now. We know that this girl belonged to her. We did the carbon 14. We have also some writings, even if it's not really something that we can prove. We have the Provençal tradition, and we have books written by old pilgrims who came here to do the pilgrimage. We have the book of Jacques de Voragine, the Golden Legend, he explained inside this book the life of Mary Magdalene and her sister Martha. We have also the writings about written by Rabbin More or Rabanus Maurus, which is kept in the library, in Oxford Library. So we have a lot of information going that side, that Mary Magdalene and the companions came ashore on the beach of the place called Les Saintes Maries de la Mer, which is in Camargue, and from here they began their mission of evangelization, because you know that written in the Gospel, when Magdalene met Jesus, the risen Jesus, outside in the garden of the where the tomb was, he asked her to be, in fact, the first. She was the first witness of his resurrection, and she was asked to go and to tell what she saw. So she is really. That's why, in fact, she's called the apostle to the apostles. And this was confirmed by the Pope in 2016. Officially, Rome officially recognizes Mary Magdalene as apostle to the apostles.
So, you know, in the Last Supper, you see a female figure on the right of Jesus Christ.
Yes.
Is that her or not?
Sometimes we don't know if it's John or if it's Magdalene. Yes.
Uh-huh. So,
Yes.
so do you think that there's 13 apostles then?
Maybe.
So,
Yes.
but do you think she's part of the 12 apostles, or do you think she's separate?
No, I think she was totally apart. She has a very special place in Jesus' life, and their relationship was not the same as with the other ones, and that's why. In fact, it's not really in the four official Gospels. We don't really see that. But if you read the Gnostic Gospels, the Gospel of Mary, the Gospel of Philip, you will see that there is a kind of rivalry, the kind of she with Peter mostly, but also with the other companions, and she is mentioned as the favorite person for Jesus. Yes,
Right. You call it the apostle of love, right?
I think
Yeah.
it's a good definition for her. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. Apostle of love.
In many sort of spiritual circles, they talk about how she was in fact Jesus's wife. What's your opinion on that?
We don't know exactly. We don't have any info about that. So it can be yes, it can be no. my personal idea was that Jesus was a rabbi, you say rabbi?
A rabbi, yeah.
Yeah, and he had to be to go to do this. He had to be married. So yes, I think that's something that it can be totally okay for me. Yes.
Right.
Uh-huh.
Are you, you're a practicing Catholic, yes?
I was grown as Catholic, yes.
Yes. But you're also spiritually inclined.
Yeah, for this, I'm going closer and closer now to the Orthodox Church.
Are you?
And yeah, and because there is a community here where I practice with them the prayer of the heart, which is or the prayer of Jesus, which is a very old prayer. The prayer that Jesus talked to Mary Magdalene and also to the Samaritan woman at the well.
Okay.
And it's a prayer based on, it's a quite of perpetual prayer, but also based on, the breathing and also the connection with your heart. Yeah. So yes, I was grown Catholic, Roman Catholic from Rome, but I feel really very close now to this community, and I organize also part of my retreats, spiritual retreats there in the monastery. Yeah.
Right. Do you think it's important for us to, I don't know, I'll say this softly and gently, but to label ourselves, I am this, I am that. Like, I wondered if Jesus and Mary did.
No, I think
No?
that the most important is to trust, in fact, and just feel what you are really feeling in your heart. What's talking in your heart? We have the habit to say that God is talking inside your heart. That's why in this prayer you have to go deep inside your heart to find God, and to hear the message he wanted you to know. What is your mission of life? That's something that you find in your heart. You don't have to be Catholic, you don't have to be Buddhist. That's something that it's open to everybody, and the most important is really walking that way, I think. Yeah, without any label on your face.
Right. Why did you decide to create sort of these retreats and this company like many years ago? What led you to do that?
Alors, at the very beginning, I had this diploma. I had the certification as a lecturer guide by the French Ministry of Culture. And at the very beginning, I was doing just a tourist tour. I was working with cruisers and all this.
Oh, yeah.
But because I was grown and I was living in St Maximin, and my husband had a taxi company, sometimes and mostly after Dan Brown published the Da Vinci Code, people were coming here and they wanted to visit the cave. And when I was driving for my husband in his company, driving these people to the grotto, I was explaining, my life and what I knew about Mary Magdalene, the way I met her and all this. And little by little, I had this idea that maybe people could be interested in the story. And so I passed my exam to have my tourist transportation company. That's what I did. And since this moment, I decided to focus on doing these pilgrimages. At the very beginning, it was just a discovery of the places, following, and I still do that, following the places where she went, where her and the companions evangelized, her brother in Marseille, her sister in Tarascon, Maximin, her friend in Aix, all these places we visit. And then little by little, I thought it was also important to meet Magdalene in a different way, That's why I organized now this kind of spiritual retreat where we can we do less trip, we less kilometers, but we drive, and we are driving within us, in fact, and we meet Magdalene in a different way through the prayers, through the practice. Also of yoga, because everything is linked. We are living in a kind of our world, we are all connected, so it's important also to be in a good balance with nature, with our body. Everything contributes to us also to be really connected in our heart and in our body. It's very important. That's why I decided to have it's 3 or 4 times a year, but a full week where we can practice and meet Magdalene in a different way. Yeah.
Now, you were talking about the land. Tell me about how you think she felt being in the forest, being, as you mentioned that on your website.
I know this forest is a sacred forest. Before Mary Magdalene, it was already a sacred place. It was the forest first dedicated to the Mother Goddess. Then after we had the Celtic and the Druids who came in Provence and founded these different communities all along our coast. And this forest was dedicated for them to Artemis or Diana. In Artemis and Diana. Artemis, that's a Greek name, and Diana, that's the Roman, Latin name of the goddess. And this forest has always been sacred, and we for 1,000 years, women are, it's a feminine forest, and women are going there for practice of prayers for fertility and all this forest. And if you come here and you experience walking through this forest, you can see and you can feel the very feminine energy. It's not very strong, it's very soft, and we feel really yes, that's one of my favorite places, I have to say. Yes. Yeah.
So you said it was sacred before Mary Magdalene. I didn't quite understand.
Of course.
Sacred, and who was there first?
Alors, first it was the Mother Goddess. It was Gaia. She was, Gaia was worshipped in this forest because we had, this
Did you
connection.
Did you say
it's
Gaia?
Very special. Gaia, yes, Mother Gaia.
Mother Gaia. I see. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure that I hear. Yeah.
And later, after, when this place was inhabited by the Celtic population and the Druids were there, because we have found the altars where they were doing sacrifices and all this at the foot of the mountain. We have the water also, which was very important in this Celtic rites. So when little by little, this forest became sacred, and it was really something very special, because we have in the book written by the geographer of Julius Caesar, the emperor of the Roman Empire. It was written that, in fact, Lucius wrote that Julius Caesar, who was a great emperor, was afraid to go in this forest because it was very, very special. And he forbids his people to go there in this forest, because this forest was so special that he was afraid of that. Right. So we know that this forest was very, very, very sacred, and it's a very special place, even nowadays when you go there. Yeah. Mm.
That sounds really lovely. You're fortunate.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Oh, yeah, I know that. Yes. And I thank for that.
I know. You seem like you are. So, what do you think Mary Magdalene's purpose is today? What have you learned about her?
I think she's a great model for women, but not only for women, because she was a model of benevolence, and she left also. She was she was living in a very wealthy environment. She had a lot of money in her family, but she decided to share all this money, what she had, to help Jesus and the followers financially, with their money. She was a model of conversion. In fact, she was living in a very special she had a very special life before she met Jesus, and she was living with this Greek population who was living in Palestine, and she was criticized because she was totally a part of of this Jewish society. She was shown because she was so different, but I think she was really someone who wanted to know. She wanted to have a spiritual life and to know the Torah, and yes, when meeting Jesus, she was initiated to all this, and she's really a model of life, how to be, she has. And in the gospel we can see that she was many times criticized by men, but she resists to that, and she didn't care about that, and she forgave also these people too. Sometimes I'm just thinking about the fact that being at the foot of the cross with Mother Mary, and what can you imagine what she saw? And she was able to go beyond that, beyond this pain, beyond this awful moment she had to live with her mother, with his mother, sorry. And she was able to go beyond that because she loved a lot. That's why I call her the apostle of love, because she's a pure love. She's the unconditional love. How we have to live that way. It's very important to be able to go further that, even if sometimes things are very difficult for us, we have to be able, like she did, to forgive and to go beyond that, because that's the purpose of, that's the teaching of Jesus. That's what he asked her, and what he asked each of us to do, this, to follow our model. Yeah.
Right. Well, that's a very good lesson, isn't it? It's very difficult to do. To love, to forgive, and go beyond that. It's hard sometimes.
Yes, but when you realize, that she stayed with him, she followed when he was going to the mountain with his cross and all this, and she didn't know what she was going to discover when the morning of Easter, but she wanted to finish in fact, to prepare the body and all this, and nothing could stop her. They had to leave the body on the Friday, Good Friday, because the sun was going down and it was a Shabbat, and they couldn't do anything. But at the first moment of the very, very beginning of the Sunday, and it was still dark, it's mentioned in the gospel, she took a flask of perfume with a few women with her, and she went to the cave, to the tomb, and it was dangerous at this time, walking, just women walking like this on the roads, without of course, without light, without anything. She knew that there was a huge stone closing the tomb. She didn't had any doubt about the fact that she couldn't maybe move it, or I don't know. She's really a model of, even in difficult situation, to resist and always finding a solution. And for me, that's the best model we can have in life. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I think so.
Is it true in your point of view that she was a prostitute?
We say that this word is not really, it's not the good word. We know that nowhere you can find this mention, this word mentioned anywhere. You can read the Gospels in the different side. You never find that.
Yeah.
But this is now and the church officially recognizes that it was. They said it was a mistake of translation from the Pope at the 6th century, Gregory the Great, who said, who made this mistake. They said mistake, and he translated prostitute instead of sinner. And in 1969, Rome, so the Church of Rome, officially recognized that it was just a problem of translation. And this word was, erased of his her biography, but she carried that during 13th century. Yes, on her shoulders. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
But as I said, she was living in a very different world compared to this. To the tradition, the Jewish tradition. She had a lot of money, she had a very good education, and it's mentioned that she went in the court of Herod and all these people, who were very powerful, and at this time the Jewish women couldn't do that. It was forbidden. If you read Paul, for instance, it's written in Paul, women can't talk in public. They have to be underneath the authority of their husbands. They had to go out with a veil covering their hair. Magdalene is always represented without a veil. She, in the modern painting, she has a veil, but she has never been represented before with a veil. She was totally apart, and because she was out of the frame, she was criticized. So it's very easy to criticize someone who is different from you.
For sure.
So,
For sure.
That's what
well said.
I think. That's what happened, in fact. Yeah.
In your opinion, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that the role of women, I guess, I know that, okay, so in the 12th century in the south of France, you talk about how women were equal to men. Okay.
Oh yeah, not everywhere in France, only in the Cathar country,
In
which
the
is
Cathar.
the region of Occitania, southwest of France. Not here in Provence. It was different. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So let me go back to what you said about Mary and the women that they weren't allowed to speak in public. How do you devote your life to, whether it's Catholicism or Orthodox, where you see unjust? And if you see the unjust within your community, how do you think you're able to overlook that and still focus on the teachings of what, whether you call it religion, whether you call it, the word of Jesus Christ, etc.? Do you know what I'm getting at?
It's, of course, it's something. It's difficult for a woman to in the Catholic, even in the Orthodox. I mean, in the community, because I would have loved to be a preacher and maybe to be a priest, a priestess, but it's impossible here in our in this religion. We don't. So yes, sometimes it's a bit frustrating, but I think that we can turn around the problem, and we can because I'm someone who does. I don't like to let go, so I'm always in the move, and I think we can find other ways to be present in this church. Even as a woman, even if we are not officially recognized, because we have women, the church can't do without women. It's so important to have this balance, and even if we can't be officially recognized, we have other ways to be present and to be important, I think. Yes. And the fact that what I like in what I am doing is that people are coming here and they can really understand. They can be in presence with Magdalene, and it's also a way for me to contribute to a better world. And even if it's not officially recognized by the church, what we are doing. And then after the women who came here are, it's just like little seeds. They are going back home and they are talking about that. It's like if you throw the seeds and then they are planted, and so we, little by little, we are going to spread, and we are very important, I think. All women, yes. It's our job also to, even if we stay in the dark or in the shade, we are doing our job. It's very important. We don't have to give up because of that.
What do you think? So, speaking about, like, say, your tours, the tours and the retreats that you do, and the guests that come, what are the guests looking for? What do you think?
We have different people are coming for different reasons, but I think that every time they come, and I always do this the first day of either my pilgrimage or my retreats. I want them to have a first intimate meeting with Mary Magdalene, and to give her their intentions. And they all come for a different reason, but the most important is that they are coming because Magdalene is like a balm, like a balm, and people sometimes are in pain or in difficulty, and they are looking for peace, or they are looking for a solution to their problem, and it's very important to have this connection. We have people who are just coming just to see the places where she evangelized. Some of them are, as I said, I had many people who had health troubles, who are coming really to give their pain, to put their pain at the feet of Mary Magdalene and see what happens. And usually it's something that's really good for them. And I'm really happy if I can help with that, because it's really important. Yes.
What do you think prayer, or when you're practicing the rosary, and you said, like, even you just talked about how your guests come and then they just feel this, feeling maybe of calm, but what do you think actually happens? Because nothing really changes, right? Maybe in their reality, let's just say you have a challenge, right?
The reality doesn't change. That's you change.
Right.
So,
and what does that mean? What happens when we're praying and we're...
If I can share with you really something that I really understood, that's very personal, but I'm happy to share that. When my dad was dying, he died from Alzheimer in 2017, and the 6th of April. It was really quite the end, and it was very difficult for us and for him too. And so I went alone at the cave, and I stayed a long time. And when I was going up through this forest, everything was dark and I was very heavy. It was difficult for me to walk, and because I was thinking about that, and so I spent, I don't know how long I stayed in this grotto, listening to the drops of the water. And there is a very special place where I like to go. And when I went down, believe me or not, Lauren, but the world was different. Nothing had changed. My father was still on the point to die. And I remember, and sometimes, Google puts you have pictures, they popped up like this. And so on the way down, I took some pictures of it was in April, and so the little flowers were blooming, and with the very, very green, this soft green of the new leaves and all this. And I was able to see life, So nothing had changed. The situation was still the same, but I spent sometimes in connection with Magdalene, in connection with my heart and all this. My father died the 10th, so 4 days after. But on the way down, everything was different. And it was life instead of death, and light instead of dark.
Right.
And this is a miracle, honestly. Yeah.
Well,
I think.
Go ahead.
I think it's the best example. That's something I couldn't believe it could happen, and it happened. Yes. Right.
Well, thank you for that.
You're welcome.
So, in speaking of, your father's passing, what do you think of dying, of death?
I have different.
Alors.
Yes. No, because it's a very. It can be a question, just one question, but we can talk about that for hours.
Hours, I know.
Yeah, for me, that's part of the life. Our life has to end with death, because we are going back to the light. We came from the light. We embodied. We embodied. Yes, we are in fact a spiritual beings in a physical envelope. And so we are going back from where we came. It's just a transition. And for me, I'm not afraid by death. First, because my husband had in 1978 had an accident, a car accident, and he stayed 6 days in the coma. And so he experienced that, and he said that he was in the light, and he 6 days was like 10 minutes. He was in one of the best place, and he said, if death is that, it's totally okay. He came back. But for me, I think it's a kind of just a kind of cycle. We have to pass by this state of being death in order to go back to the light. And that's just yes, a kind of experience. And yeah, we don't have to be afraid by that. I don't think so. Yeah.
Well, again, thank you for that. Why do you think Mary Magdalene decided to retreat, like for many years, they say 30 years, in a cave in the grotto? Yes. Why?
We have different reasons. It can be because one of the most important, maybe to save her skin, because at this time Christians were persecuted, and in Marseille where they stayed, and where she went, also when she was preaching with her brother Lazarus, the brother was beheaded by the Roman soldiers, by the Roman army. And the first Christians who took refuge in Marseille, there is now it's an abbey, Saint Victor, but it was an old stone quarry at this time when she was living and when they arrived. And so this first Christian community took refuge in this place, in this place of Saint Victor, in this cave. There were grottos because they were really in danger. They escaped from Palestine, where they were persecuted by the Roman army, but it was the same when they arrived. So maybe one of the reasons was also to escape from the persecutions. It can be also because she really wanted to be connected, and she was the model also of all these mother and fathers of the desert. We call them the father and the mother of the desert. There were people in Egypt, the first people in Egypt who went in caves also. They were living in caves and praying this prayer of the heart all the time. Really, the fact that being alone in this place, alone, she was not alone because there was life around her, but being retired in this grotto and really being focused on this prayer that Jesus taught to her. And in the Gospel of Mary, when she asked Jesus, how can I find you? And he said, go into your heart. So go into the cave of your heart. Because we can consider that, your body is, if you come back, you are going back to your heart, like in a cave, and you are able to connect with the divine. And maybe she wanted really that connection with Jesus. She could find it through the prayer. But you are in a kind, the grotto is a kind of desert. The grotto is also considered as a womb. So you're going back to your roots from where you came, you are coming. So it's also kind of symbolism. We have this also. I don't think she really stayed 30 years in a cave, but yes, it can be totally possible that she decided to retire following this river and finding the grotto where she stayed, really to be in connection with the divine, and to at the end of her life, really connected with this deep energy of the creation and all this of love and all this. Yeah.
So thank you. So she was born when? Do you know the actual date or like sort of the time frame?
We think that for the skull, for instance, we did the carbon 14 on the skull. We have as the skull of Mary Magdalene, and we know that it's a skull of a woman from the other side of the Mediterranean, with dark skin, and from the 1st century. And they said this the datation can be a woman of 55, 60 years old. So it was very old for this period. At this time, she died very old. So she probably arrived when she was the 30 years, and she evangelized, and then after she finished her life in the grotto. So we think that they arrived in between 42 and 45 AD on the coast when they landed, but they escaped before, because it was a long trip. At this time they couldn't cross directly the Mediterranean, so probably they left in 33, 37 or 38 to be here after maybe between 4 and 5 years of trip following the coast of the Mediterranean to land and to came ashore in Camargue, in the Sainte Marie.
and this is 2023.
Yeah.
And people are, obviously with the figures are still being spoken about today. But do you think in some way she's helping women and, as you say, men come together today for a particular purpose?
I think if there is one woman who can be able to make the reconciliation between masculine and feminine, she is the one.
She's the one.
Yes. Oh, she's the one. Yes. Yeah. She is the model. I'm not someone who is fighting against the masculine. I
Oh,
don't think I don't think, I'm not this kind of feminist. I'm sorry. I totally respect that, but I don't really feel close to that. And I think that we have to find a balance. And if we are looking as a model of the relationship with Jesus and Magdalene, we have this balance. We have the balance with the masculine and the feminine. We have also to have this balance within us, because we are yin and yang, and so we have to do that. And
right.
it's very we can see in the gospel sometimes Magdalene is very masculine. She has this masculine energy, when she's coming to Simon's with her flask of perfume, and she cried on Jesus' feet, and she puts the perfumes, and she does the anointing of his feet. And she was criticized by Simon, by all the men, and she was able to resist to that. So this is part, it's really more the masculine than the feminine. And we have the balance when Jesus came to Bethany to reanimate Lazarus, who died 4 days before he came. Jesus, they said in the gospel, Jesus was standing by Mary Magdalene, and Jesus was crying. So this is the feminine side of Jesus, and so we have this balance between them. And we have to do the same within us first. That's a hard job sometimes. But after, we have to do the balance with the masculine and the feminine. And we don't have to fight against. We have to go on the same way, on the same path,
Yeah.
same direction.
Yeah, that's very insightful. I agree with you in terms of I how do you reconcile that with the balance of the masculine and the feminine within us, and with how in fact women at a period of time were treated? Because right now there is actually a conversation going on around the patriarchy and how that sort of what's the word that I want? It's the detriment of society. That there's a lot of far left feminists who think that, and some women I know who think that, who legitimately say no, it's the patriarchy. So I'm wondering what your thoughts are on that. We don't need to delve too much into it because I don't want to go off topic. But since you brought it up, what do you think?
I was grown also in this, I was grown in a Catholic school, and I was, living there for the full week and coming back home only during the weekend and the holidays. Yes,
Okay.
so I know this. This is the world where women. It's very difficult for us. And when they said that we have this patriarchy, they are totally right. Of course, I don't deny this fact, because it's very difficult for women. We have comfortable positions because we had a good education and we are successful in what we are doing. But for other women sometimes, and also in France, that's the country of the human rights, and we are considered like this.
Right.
So of course we are very fortunate to live here, but I know there are countries where women have to fight to exist, just to exist.
Yeah.
But what I think, in fact, what we have to work on, if we want a more just
World.
balance and a better world, I think there is only one think we have to work on is to develop the unconditional love. We have to be open. I think that love is the most important, but not love, okay, oh, I love you, I love my neighbor. No, really the love, the notion of love. So really being open-minded, being heart open, helping, being at the service of the poorest, being of the service to all of the people who are really they need sometimes really to be helped, or financially, or just with a smile in the street, someone you cross, or just giving a coin to someone, to people who are begging, or that's very important. And that's how we can better this world, I think. And we can go further to this boundary, which is this patriarchy. If we are all doing that job, I think that they would have no problem. We all live in harmony. But of course, it's difficult because we have the pressure of the society, we have the power of the money, we have all this. And this is really sometimes when I'm, talking, and some people, they look at me, and maybe they believe that I'm just going from the moon. I'm arriving here, And
I love the way you say that. Yeah.
no, but yes, because this is not something we learn. We don't learn that at school, even in the Catholic school, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But I think that's the message we have to deliver. That's why Magdalene was sent by Jesus. Tell the people what you saw. Tell them that love is stronger than death. That's a message,
Mm.
So
Thank you for that. Thank you for sharing that. I appreciate that. What do you think happened to Jesus? Because here we have Mary Magdalene, who fled Palestine along with Martha, Lazarus, etc. But what actually happens? Because there's a variety of stories, around his life and around his, the resurrection. So, what do you think?
For me, the resurrection is a resurrection.
Mm-hmm.
If there's not, I know that I've heard plenty of stories where Jesus could have had a twin or this kind of things. For me, no, I think that, and it's important when Jean-Yves Leloup translated the Gospel of Mary, it's written. She asked Jesus, am I crazy, or how can I see you? How can I feel you? So this resurrection is really something that really happened for me. And even if the body can stay a body, the body is matter. The resurrection is light, is energy. So yeah, the body can stay on earth. She can bury it. He could have been buried. Just the body. I know that some people said that he could have been transported also on this boat with them, and why not? But the body is just matter. It doesn't prevent the fact that Jesus is risen, because the resurrection is energy and light, and the body is matter. To me, that's how I feel the resurrection. It's just being able for her, when she saw him in the garden, just at the moment when he was just in between, not totally fully energy or light, because she couldn't have seen him, and not really matter, because it was just this moment, and he said that I'm not. I'm going to my Father and your Father. So he is ascending. He's not totally in heaven or full energy. It's just in between. And she has been able to see that, or to feel it. I don't know if she really saw or just perceive it.
Mhm.
You know.
Okay. So today you've spent some time with me speaking about Mary Magdalene. And I'm wondering what that feels like for you.
I'm happy. I have, how would you say, des feux d'artifice, in my heart. Yes, I'm really, really very happy being able to share that, because it's a passion, and I'm really very honored that, in different places of this world, people decide to come to do this long trip. Sometimes I have women, it's not really easy to travel from long, I have people from New Zealand, from Australia. It's on the other side of the world. And I'm really very honored to for these people to come here, and really I thank this being here. I know that I'm privileged to live here, 20 minutes far away from the grotto, and close to the basilica, and being able to go whenever I want. But for this, I'm really always very moved to see how people decided to come, even if it's difficult. Sometimes people, they have to save money for years, and it's a trip of their life, really meeting Mary Magdalene. So for me, thank you for giving me the opportunity to express myself and to share that. Thank you very much.
Oh
I'm
my God.
very grateful. Yeah.
Me
Thank you.
too. Thank you.
Yes.
Veronique, where can people reach you? I've got a whole pamphlet of retreats here that you offer, Magdalene Sacred Journeys, correct?
Oui, alors my website is magdalenesacredjourneys.com. And here you can find the different kind of retreats I'm organizing for 2024 now. We'll have part really with trips and following these places. We go also in the Cathar country to better understand the beliefs these people had, also from the relationship between Jesus and Mary Magdalene, and they died for that. They have been massacred for that. So we go there. I have different also places we visit here in Provence of the evangelization, and I have these retreats in the monastery, and one very special, but it's sold out now, with the Magdalene, the mere women with the plants, and because I'm also aromatherapist, and I like to do this anointing oils and all this. I produce my own oil, Magdalene's meditation oil, with the plants I harvest at the Sainte-Baume in the mountain, in the sacred mountain. So yes, I have different kinds of retreats, and people can find that on my website. Yes.
Nice. When you reflect back at your life and where you are today, sort of, and how you've grown your relationship with with Mary Magdalene, and also in how you're bringing this and sharing this to others. One of the things is the importance of essential oils and plants and herbs. Those things, I find those things extremely important, because it's just part of who we are. I have that in my own belief. But when you reflect back, what do you think of yourself? Like what comes to mind?
Thank you first. Thank you to Mado, because all what I've done in my life, when I look behind me, I can see that she pushed me to do what I did. In fact, it's like, you know, this story of the little children with the little stones. Well, that's exactly that. You know, I asked, and she brought back to me what I asked for her. She has always been by my side in difficult situations. And, you know, when I realize all the very important moments in my life can be sometimes very difficult moments, but also very joyful moments, happened when I was at the mountain, you know. So when my father died this day, the 10th of April, I was driving some children. I was at the foot of the mountain, and I remember when the nurse phoned me at 7 in the morning. The sun was rising on the mountain, and I saw this chapel on the top of the mountain, and I learned my father passed away, and I said, that's the best place, you know, to learn that, because I was exactly where for him it was the most important place also for him. So it was a perfect moment, and a joyful moment when I was at the mountain, I received a call from my daughter, and she said, Mom, we decided to marry with Olivier. And, you know, and I was there in the grotto, not in the grotto because we can't have any signal, but I was at the mountain. So everything was, every path, every step of my life, following the path has been, you know, given or shown by her. Yeah. When I decided to pass my exam of aromatherapist, it was because I wanted to know what was in this alabaster jar and all this, you know.
Right, the alabaster jar.
I was very nosy. I wanted to know. So now I know.
That's excellent.
But yes, yeah, looking back, yes, I think that she has always been here and pushing me on the direction, all the direction I took. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Are you going to pass your legacy down to your daughter? Will your daughter continue this?
Alors, she's doing with me. She's working. She's a yoga teacher, and so she's working also with me on the retreat in the monasteries. This kind of retreats, spiritual retreats. She's with me. Yes, she is in contact with Mary Magdalene because my father loved her. And he was also, when I was working and she was a little girl, he did like he did with me. So she was with my father. So of course she was grown like this. But she has another way to approach her own way. But I know she's very devoted to. Yes. And I hope, yes, we could do this, you know, because it's a wonderful collaboration. It's fabulous for a mother to work with her daughter and being, you know, following Magdalene like this. Yes, for me, it's a real gift. Yes.
Yeah, I imagine. Well, thank you. Now, before you go, is there anything that you'd like to share?
No, I think, yes, I would like to, I really want this, this is very important. The message of Mary Magdalene is really more than important in our difficult world now. I think that, you know, we have to take a lesson, to learn what really what she shows she shows us really the way. So we have just to follow her steps, and you know, I think that our life can be lighter if we, yes, and better. Yes, that's really the message of love is more than important in our difficult times. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you. Thank you so much. I'm very grateful to you. And I hope I make it out to one of your, not even just a retreat, but I know that you also do like, say, personal guides and that. That's also, I think,
yes.
a note. Yeah.
I have groups, but I have also individuals. It's yes. So whenever you want to come, you're welcome. You know that.
Thank you so much. And
thank you to you.
Yeah, many blessings to you and your family. And we can say thank you to your father today.
Oh, yes.
for that introduction.
He's always here. Life. Yeah, he's always here with me. Yes. That's
lovely.
Very important. Yeah.
And maybe
thank
Mary
you very
Magdalene.
much.
Be my pleasure. And maybe Mary Magdalene is with us in spirit today.
Oh, yes, of course she is. Always, always here. Yes.
Wonderful. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in today. And if you know anyone who's interested in spirituality, specifically to the life of Mary Magdalene, Veronique is quite an expert. And, go to magdalenesacredjourneys.com if you're curious to see. There's lots of information there for you to learn. So thanks again and take good care of yourselves.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.